Our living room TV broke 5 years ago, but we decided to stick with it because our son was on the way. Toddlers and TVs, not a great mix. Gabriel is now 4.5 years old and he's thankfully moved past bashing the TV straight into button bashing. But in the meantime, I've had the chance to experiment with loads of different TV alternatives, from portable displays to projectors and even XR glasses. Today I want to share my experience across all of those categories and help you decide if one of them could be a good option if a TV no longer fits your lifestyle. Projectors are probably the first place that a lot of people will want to start because they offer the most comparable experience to a TV. They go up on a wall in your room, they're communal, so everyone in the family can watch at the same time, and they can be high quality too. Before you do commit to a specific projector though, it's worth looking around because there's such a broad spectrum of products on offer. If you want one for gaming in particular, then the BenQ X300G is a highly specialised, albeit expensive bet, coming in at around £1,300 on Amazon. For that price, you get a low latency 4K HDR, but let's be honest, that would be the absolute minimum expected for a TV of the same price. What sets it apart from a TV is its portability, adaptability in terms of screen size, and the fact you can easily pack it away to free up your wall space when not in use. You have to have that free wall space to begin with, and not every available surface will be ideal for a projector. That's where the X3000G's ability to project at 2000 ANSI lumens and its auto keystone come in, making it bright and flexible enough to genuinely work on your wall without a dedicated backdrop. I had a great time testing the X300G on lots of different surfaces, but being so expensive, I struggle to recommend it, especially when more portable projectors exist, like the XGME Mogo 4. Now, the Mogo 4 can't live up to the X300G in terms of specs, but it is less than half the price at around £500, and it fulfills the same function, albeit with less of a focus on gaming. This one is more of a lifestyle projector, even rotating away into a Bluetooth speaker with some nice lighting effects when not in use for streaming. I went away with some friends during the World Cup and took the Mogo 4 with me to watch the footy. It really shone as a communal viewing option, even if it can be annoying when people walk in front of the projector and it pauses video output to protect people's eyes. A great safety feature, but not as seamless as a TV. The Mogo 4 is decent enough for gaming if you're happy with a 1080p resolution, but at 450 ISO lumens it's far from bright enough to compete with the X300G or a modern TV. As a rough rule of thumb, ISO lumens read slightly higher than the ANSI on paper, so the XGMI at 450 ISO is effectively around 360 ANSI. Either way, it's significantly dimmer than the BenQ. This can make finding the right spot in less than ideal lighting more of a challenge, although I actually prefer its auto-framing ability. Overall, both these projectors have been fun to use, but the technology is similar in cost to a TV for arguably a worse viewing experience. If you value or are limited to clean wall space and want portability, then they might be the best option. But what if you don't need a communal option and would much prefer your own private screen? Well, how about some XR glasses? This space has been exploding with so many designs over the past few years, as manufacturers like Xreal and Vitra have raced to get the best pair of XR glasses out onto the market. That's also led to some experimental designs which haven't gone quite as well. The Guvis XR Art, for example, has a pretty wacky design which almost looks a little bit like a dentist's loop. You strap this device to your head and peer through the goggles Professor E. Gadd style to see a screen in front of you which can display anything that it's connected to. You get a sense of immersion, but you can also see the external world around you, which is the main selling point compared to a full-on VR headset. But in practice, it turns out to be one of the most impractical designs I've ever wrestled with, and it's let down by its build quality. The strap on my pair broke within days, and it was such a critical point of failure that the XR Art never stayed on my head from that point on. At the time, I remember it solidifying in my mind that the true form factor for this kind of device was simply a pair of glasses. And these days, you're getting some sleek and subtle designs like the Vitra Beast XR, which can vindicate that view. What may look like a regular pair of shades, if not a bit bulky, secretly display 1200p per eye at a 58-degree field of view. Now, any pair of glasses like this can be a little bit fiddly, and it really depends person by person how well they're going to be adjusted for your eyes and viewing style. One thing I appreciate about the Beast XR is how easy it is to buy prescription inserts that do tailor the screen to your own individual eyesight. Once you've got those in, you have a really sharp and vibrant display. There is a little bit of aliasing and chromatic aberration, particularly around the edges of this model, and that means they're not going to be brilliant for reading or working from your laptop. But when it comes to gaming, where you've got your eyes generally in the center of the display, it can be a superb option if you don't have a TV to hand. With displays like this, there are often some compatibility issues. For example, certain streaming providers like BBC iPlayer will block access via the XR glasses because of DRM output issues. If you download videos onto YouTube and try to watch them offline, it simply won't run. Similarly, if you do want to play Nintendo Switch 2 on these devices, then you will have to buy an additional dock that successfully interprets the signal. There's definitely a lot of room for these glasses to improve, but I think they're now at the level of maturity where you can pick one up and you're going to be pretty impressed. The brilliant thing is they fit into a glasses sleeve and you can take them anywhere with you, including on a plane where they genuinely excel. They also tend to be a bit less expensive than projectors or TVs, albeit a few £100 for the top of the range models. Maybe you want to spend even less than that on a TV alternative though, and you could try looking at portable displays. I've tried my fair share of options using displays from the likes of UPerfect and Azorpa. I've even tried hooking up my iPad to a Steam Deck to see how that would function as a portable gaming display. Honestly, you can have a lot of fun using these, but they do come with their own limitations. That's not necessarily going to be in terms of quality. You can get a 4K OLED display that looks brilliant when gaming. Being portable though, you're always going to cap out at a certain screen size, usually around 17 inches. It simply doesn't compare to throwing up a giant screen on your wall or putting on a pair of immersive XR glasses. For the most part, they don't come with built-in batteries either, so you do find yourself having to manage an HDMI cable, a power adapter for your display, and making sure your device is plugged in, because the display is going to chug its battery otherwise. They end up not being as convenient as they might sound. That goes double if you want to try and use your iPad as a display. You will need to invest in some kind of capture card to actually convert the signal, and you'll probably have to get 1 or 2 apps which allow you to do so. However, it can add an extra dimension to an iPad Pro, and it's a great way of utilizing that incredible display to get more out of an adjacent gaming device. The cool thing about a portable display though, including an iPad, is that beyond gaming they can have a longer life as a companion to your desktop monitor or your laptop in a productivity role, so they'll always make themselves useful even when you do upgrade your TV. Honestly though, if you are serious about gaming and you don't want to get a new TV anytime soon, it's really worth looking at handhelds if you haven't already. That could be anything from a Steam Deck to an old retro gaming device. There's such a vast array of options available to you, including those that give you more streaming capabilities, such as a handheld PC that lets you access YouTube or Disney+. Especially since becoming a dad, handheld gaming has been the thing that's allowed me to keep up with gaming. Admittedly, that's playing through games at a pace of 1 or 2 per year, but just being able to pick something up and play it wherever you are, inside or outside of the house, has been such a great way of staying connected to the hobby. Even if you've got a baby asleep on your lap as you game, just remember to turn off the vibration on your controller. When it comes down to it though, now that we've got the new TV set up in the house with an OLED, VRR, 120Hz refresh rate, I'm sold again on the magic of having a great TV. We went with a 42-inch Samsung S9OF. It's far from the biggest TV or highest spec, but it's perfect for our living space, and it's completely reinvigorated my PS5, Switch 2 and the Analog 3D. I've been holding off on Expedition 33 because the skill menu used to be obscured, no pun intended, by a dark shadow on the right hand side of the TV. That's the problem with edge-lit TVs when they get older. Panels blow and then you're screwed. But it was absolutely worth the wait because Expedition 33 looks stunning on this display. As much as I've enjoyed experimenting with these TV alternatives over the past 5 years, nothing beats the quality and the convenience of a good TV. And I think Gabriel's noticed that too.